What's up, Anishares? This is an Anishare editor tutorial as of October 1st, 2025, and we're going to cover the overall interface, drawing tools, layers, colors, animating, using audio in your animations, collaborating with other users, exporting your animations, and publishing on Anishare. So first, let's open up the editor from the gallery. Let's make a new animation. Over here in this section, we have the editing tools. If you see, the brush is highlighted, and if you click on it again, it will toggle the menu coming out. So you have the brush, the eraser, the lasso, the fill, and the hand tool. Then over here, you have undo and redo. You have the layers. You can select which layer. And then you have this thing to expand more options, animation settings, color, and other things. Of course, in the middle here, you have your canvas. In this bar here, you can insert frames relative to the current frame that you're on, copy frames, and paste. Deleting is to delete a frame, but we only have one, so we can't. And then loop start and loop end is like a custom looping feature where you can loop just a section of the animation. We'll go over that later. Then down here, you have the current time and the total time of the animation. Down here, this area is the timeline, so it will show you all the frames of the animation, and you can move between them by clicking on them. This is the play button. You can play and pause. This is the loop button. You have the three states: loop on, loop off, and the custom loop. Then you have the current frame index, the total frame count, and then the frame rate. And I just wanted to add that this little menu here is covering some of the canvas. So to show and hide it, similarly to up here, where you click on the purple thing to open up the menu, down here, the currently active frame that's showing is purple. And if you click on that, it will show and hide this little timeline menu. Let's look at the tools in more detail. So if you open up the brush, you see we have a little cursor here. We have three colors with a stroke size, and then we have something pattern. So you can manipulate all of these things and get sort of different strokes. And for the pattern, it's sort of like, instead of using opacity, you have this sort of dithering capability. So these are the solid pattern. And I'll give a little swatch here of all the patterns. So if you zoom in a bit, it should be easier to see that they are actually like pixelated instead of, I don't know, more or less transparent, in order to give that illusion of transparency. And the cool thing is that they mix together to make like new patterns and stuff, which I find pretty fun. I think this little star pattern is one of my faves. So yeah, definitely play with them, and you can use it to sort of blend colors too. So if you have some red down here and you don't want to have purple as its own color, you can kind of like mix them together in different quantities to sort of have that effect. When you select a brush pattern for the eraser, it applies the brush pattern of that strength to the erasing. It's not what it leaves behind. So for example, if you erase in light, it will leave the dark behind, and so on. Now we have the lasso. This is your typical free shape selection tool. So you can see if you click, it kind of follows your cursor, and you can make a shape and do stuff with it. You can also sort of draw something if you want to do that too. And anytime you let go while drawing, it goes back to that more jagged way of placing it, where you can just click individual points, and at any time you can just continue to draw something out and use these two modes interchangeably. When you're making a lasso selection, you finalize it by going back to the starting point, which is a circle. And now you have all these options here. You can delete what's in the selection, you can cut it, copy. The cut is just delete and copy. Anytime you can paste as long as you have something in the clipboard. So right now I will cut this out. So I cut this selection. My selection is still there. I can click anywhere outside of the selection to clear it, or I can use this deselect button or hit escape, as you can see. And then if I want to paste, Control V. And now you see it has these dots everywhere. These are just for scaling. So this is how you move and scale essentially. You cut something first, you paste it. You can move it around. You can scale it in the different dimensions. And yeah, you can just make things big. And same for clearing a selection. You just hit deselect, escape, or click off, and it will paste it. Now we have the fill tool. This works like you'd expect. You just pick your color, you click where you want to fill, and it will just fill it for you. And you can fill it with a pattern as well, and that would make life a little bit easier for you. And you should note that you can use the lasso and fill tool together, so you could create some sort of shape, and then you can go fill in that shape. Finally, the hand tool. As you can see, the shortcut is Shift Hold. So you would be using, say, the brush, and then you hit Shift, you see the hand come up, and then you just kind of click and drag the canvas around. And if you look at the tool menu, you can see there's other things you can do. You can zoom in, you can zoom out, and then at any time you can reset your view by using this button or hitting R, like that. So let's take a look at the layers now. We're in the middle ground this whole time. You can draw a bunch of stuff on one layer, and if you go from the middle ground to, say, the background and draw down there, you can see it's underneath. And if you go on the foreground, whatever you draw is going to be on top. And if you click on these eyes, this is like toggling the layer visibility. So you can kind of show and hide different things on different layers. It's convenient when, say, you're working on a background and someone else is drawing a character in front and you just want to not be distracted. So you can turn off everything and just look at the background or whatever you want to do. And then now let's take a look at the color system. So you might be wondering, why are there only 3 blocks of colors on all the tools that have colors on them? And that is because Anishare uses a color palette system. So if you're familiar with Flipnote Studio, it's very similar, but it's a bit expanded. So every layer has a different set of colors that you can use, a palette of 3 colors. And you also can change the paper color for every frame. So say here we have, I believe red in the foreground is over here. So if you change that red to something else, it will change all of the foreground red to that new color in this frame. So you can see we go back to this frame, it has its own color palette. This frame would have its own. So that middle ground black, we change to like purple. Let's do a nicer purple. We have the background blue. Make it like orange. We can change the paper color to black, and if we wanted to copy this, you can just kind of copy individual layer palettes like so. There you go. And if you want to copy the whole thing, you just copy all colors, paste all colors, or you can do it, over and over. This system allows you to represent up to 10 colors in the same frame if you use all of these slots very wisely. And actually, if you blend colors using the patterns, you can probably perceive more than 10. To give you an example, I'll make a super swatch and show you all the different colors you can have in one frame. So here we have a bunch of colors, all the slots in the background, middle ground, foreground, and then we can just kind of set them to whatever we want and just have a wide variety of colors out here. So there, if you use every slot, you do have quite a broad range of things that you can represent, and you can get really creative. But let's take a quick look at animating something simple, because I've been glossing over adding frames and things like that, but let's take a look at what's actually happening. So let's just do, I don't know, a basic ball bounce. That's what I do all the time when I do demos on the street and stuff. So you have a circle, and there are a few ways to add frames. Down here, you'll see this plus button. You can use it to append frames to the end of the animation. But sometimes, this is called straight ahead, I believe, but sometimes you may want to do something called post pose, where you draw a keyframe or multiple keyframes, and then you add frames between to get to that other keyframe. So I'll do two examples, the straightaway form of the ball and the post pose form. So we have a ball here. I don't see it anymore. And one thing that would be, if you don't want to flip back and forth, and this is easy on a computer if you're using the A and D keys or the left and right arrow keys, you can go to the More menu here and click Onion Skin, show previous frame, and show next frame would show what's on the next one. But we don't really have anything except for the previous frame if you look around and wrap to the other side of the animation. And you sort of just add, it's not going to be beautiful, but we're just going to add some frames of this ball falling down. So it's going to hit, it's going to squash a little bit, and then it's going to come back up. Something like that. So you press play, which is a space bar, and you see we have something. We have a little ball living its best life, being happy, and you can see all the different frames in the timeline. You can just click a frame to just jump there, or you can step through it. So that's the way you can do it, just straight ahead. But sometimes you have more complex moving plans that straight ahead can be a bit hard to keep things making sense and consistent. So one thing you could do is say you have the ball starting at the top, and you know you want the ball to kind of end up at the bottom down here. So what you can do is, if you open up this timeline menu, you see add in each direction. That's like add a frame to the side of the current frame that you're on. So let's say I'm on frame 2. I want to insert a frame between 1 and 2. I hit add to the left. And if I'm in 1 and I want to insert something between 1 and 2, I hit add to the right. And then as you can see, I have these 2 frames in between. So I just need 1 right now. And what I can do as well is open up the Onion Skin menu, turn on show next frame, and then now we're in between the 2 places that we want to head to. So we can do something like, well, we know we want to go here, so let's add like this, or let's start in the middle. Let's say we want to have something in the middle, but then maybe we want something extra between here, so we can add another one to the left, and we can do something like this. We can add like one more. Maybe we want it to slowly accelerate at first, so we can do a little something like this. And then at this point, it's moving quickly, so we want to just we might want to just jump straight to that. But after this, we need to come back up. So let's add another. This is sort of like a way of doing post pose, even though there's no frame directly after. Because loop is on, you will see the first frame as the next frame when you're on the last frame. So we want to come insert a new one, come back up, maybe start here, and we're moving pretty fast, and then we kind of like slow down because gravity's hitting different. And let's see what it looks like. So yeah, it's got some nice hang at the top. Maybe it's a little fast at the bottom, I don't know. Seems okay. And this is a good time, I think, to go over the custom loop. You have this red ball, and you have now a blue ball. I'll just do quickly. So you have a red ball and a blue ball bouncing. You just want to work on the red ball. So what you would do is open up the timeline menu, hit loop start on the beginning of the red ball scene, and you'll see this will turn orange. And you'll see a little orange beam on the left side here, indicating that's the start of the loop. And you just go over to the frame that has the final piece of the red, which is this 8th frame here. You hit loop end. You'll see this area goes dark and the beam appears on the right of 8. So now when I press play, it will only loop within that red part. And this is good for like, if you're working on a specific scene in a longer animation, or maybe you're doing like a series of things that need to loop. It just depends. Like if you're doing like a walk cycle within something else and you want to loop that thing and make it really nice before moving on to something else, this is very handy for that. And then anytime you want to go back to playing the whole animation, you just click this button. When it goes white, that's back to loop all, and it will play everything and loop everything. And if you don't want to loop, if you turn this off, it'll be gray. It will play from wherever you start, and then at the end it will just stop. And to play it again, you have to press play again. We're sitting at 12 FPS down here, but you can always change your animation frame rate by going up to the more menu, animation settings, and then you can sort of decrease the rate to make it slower. You can increase the rate to make it super fast and some Sakuga bouncing. But of course, depending on how many frames that you drew, it may look too fast and incomplete, or too slow and like not enough information. So it really depends on how you're drawing things and what feeling you're trying to bring out. And just please note that this frame rate affects the entire animation. There's no sort of variable frame rate capability here. So if we wanted to say alternate these, what you'd have to do is hit copy down here in the timeline menu, and then when you paste it, it actually will insert whatever you copied, like a duplicate version of whatever you copied. And that's an easy way to hold frames if you want. Of course, they're independent once you paste it, but if you have something finalized and you want to hold it for a bit, that's kind of the way to do it. And if you wanted to move it, it's kind of the same thing where you copy something, you paste it, and it will insert after the current frame you're on, like that. And then you just kind of go back and delete whatever you had going on there. Let's talk about the audio features a little bit. So if you go over here again, audio, you can see you can have music up to 4 minutes, sounds up to 5 seconds. Each slot you have a sort of upload and record option. So you can upload existing sound files from your device, or you can record something from the microphone with your voice or whatever you're recording. And the way music works is, let me find something. I don't want to record some music with my voice, I'll find something. So I slowed the animation down to 6 FPS, and I added one more bounce just so that there's enough time to like hear some music. And what I'll do, I'll upload this nice file I found from Pixabay, Running Night by Alex Make Music. So thank you, Alex. As you see, when you upload, it will process it a little bit. It has to do some compression and things like that. You can hit play to preview what it's going to sound like.
Can we do it?
We have this whole file. Now, obviously, not all of it's going to play because there's only 3 seconds in our animation, as you can see down here. So I'm just going to put that in. And when we press play, some music is going to be playing. Can we do it? So as we step through, you'll see the piece of sound playing on that frame will play. So this is how you can draw and animate and sort of sync with the audio. You always know what's playing because as you step there, it will play exactly what will play during that frame's duration. So that's that. Another thing to note is that to help you keep things in sync, when you change the frame rate after uploading music, the music will change pitch and tempo to stay in time. So I'll just show you what that means. So this is what it sounds like. We uploaded the music at 6 FPS. Can we do it? If we take it down to 5 FPS, can we do it? Or we go to 4 FPS. Can we do it? So you see we're making some vaporwave or some slow verb here. I don't really know, but it will stay in time. And likewise, like if you speed it up, it will turn into some nightcore. Can we do it? So that's one thing you can keep in mind. You can definitely use that effect on purpose to make sounds kind of new and refreshing and funnier. I don't really know. It's up to you. So now we're going to add some sound effects. I think we have a ball bouncing. We should definitely have some sort of bounce effect. So I'll record that one. That should be pretty easy. So I'll go to sound effects 1 slot, hit record. There's a little dialogue that says allow Anishare to use your microphone, and allow it, of course. And you see this little record button here, and then you just let it rip, man. You just hit the record and let it rip. So I'm probably gonna do something like a boing. So boing, and it'll sound like boing, boing, yeah, something like that. You can also do filters, which I forgot to mention earlier. So standard is no explicit filter applied. It's going to sound a little different because it kind of loses some quality, but there's nothing really added. Nostalgic is kind of like a flip note style sound. Boing. And then reverb is kind of like ratchet reverb. Boing. But we're going to do nostalgic today. Hit confirm. So now we have a sound in this slot, and anytime you press play, boing, you can kind of preview it that way. If you hit delete, it will delete the sound and it will go back to looking like this. It will delete everything about it. So what is this thing here? These buttons. Set is you mark it on the frame to tell the animation to play that sound on this frame. So here we are, the bottom of the bounce. We have the ball here. We want it to play here. So we hit the set. So if I go back, you'll see it's not set here, but it's set again here. But I think because of the delay in my recording, we see it doesn't actually play until 2 frames later. So if your sound is if you upload a sound that starts right away, it's better. But you can always compensate for this by moving it back 2 frames. So as you can see, we go back to 5. You hear it playing at the right time. So we'll do that each time. Go to the place that we have the bounce, 2 frames back, hit the set, and then if we play it now, what do we get? Boing, 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 boing. And typically, of course, because the sound effects is tied to the frame, if you change the frame rate, it will always trigger at the same time. The other things that you have here, previous and next, are just, let's say you're in the animation, you don't really know, you don't remember where you set this sound to play. So if you click this, it will just jump you to the frames where the sound is playing or where you've triggered it. And you can just step back and forth like that. And if you hit clear, it will clear all the set flags back to unset like this. So they'll be hollow when they're not playing. They'll be filled in when they are playing. So let's talk about what I consider Anishare's most important feature, the collaboration, the real-time collaboration. So I don't really have anyone here right now, but I will collaborate with Anishare on my phone. So what you have to do is go to the More menu, Collaborators, and then you just sort of invite someone by their username. So if we go to Anishare, we can look up someone just to make sure they exist. So Anishare exists. So we're going to invite Anishare to work on our animation together. You put their username, you hit the invite sent to Anishare. I'll actually show you what that looks like for the person receiving the invite. So here we are on the Anishare account. You can see you hit the profile and there's Anishare. So what you'll notice is when you get invited, when you get any notification on the site, like a comment or a clap or something, the notification bell will have this little like pulsing purple dot on it. You click here, you'll see all your notifications, and you'll see JG invited you to edit animation QBoyX. So, and it's like a minute ago. You have a little thumbnail of what the animation is looking like, and you can either accept or decline. If you decline, they can invite you again, in case you did it by accident. If you accept, you're locked in for life. You're a collaborator. You're a part of that animation now. So we're going to hit accept. We accepted the invitation, and you can just click on either one of these to just start editing it right away, like so. And if you leave and you want to come back to the collab, don't look in your notifications because it won't be there anymore. Go to your gallery and you see collaborations tab, and it's going to be in there. Now we're back at my view of the animation, and I'll show you what it looks like when someone joins in and like how you guys work together very briefly. So when someone joins in, you see on the collaborators tab, they have a color assigned to them. They have their username, and you can see where they are, like which frame, what layer are they doing. And then as they go around and start drawing things, you can kind of see their cursor. You can see them like doing things, and you can kind of do things at the same time independently. So like I could be here drawing something blue, and then Anishare is over there drawing something, or I could be on this frame and Anishare could be doing something on the other frame. So I'll draw some blue, and then you can see on the first frame there should be some red showing up over there because Anishare is grinding, doing some nice color work. I don't know. So yeah, you guys can just work independently on the same shared animation, add frames, delete frame, add sounds. You sort of have equal rights as editors within the editor once you are a collaborator. And it's a lot of fun. It's very spontaneous. People will like add new things to scenes or add new scenes entirely or whatever, and I think that's very refreshing. So you have a nice animation and you want to do something with it. You want to share it with people. What you're going to do, go to the export/publish. And here you can see, this is sort of the animation detail view. You can edit it again, or you can pick one of these two, export or publish. You can also see the collaborators. So their username, whether they accepted it or you canceled it or whatever. If we go to export first, we'll have a little preview. Boing, boing. Make sure you know what you're about to get. And you can pick multiple different export options. So you can export it as a video, as a GIF, or as a sequence of PNGs. So you'd get a PNG for every single frame in a zip file if you did that. And that's useful for using in other programs, things like that. You can always add a watermark or not for a video, but GIF, it's just fixed. And when you hit export, you'll see this little thing indicating that it is working working very hard on your computer. Or maybe not too hard, we'll see. And then if you open it up, boing, boing. So here's the individual video file in Firefox. You can just send it, you can upload it, you can share it, you can do whatever you want. You can also access these settings from this dot here, these 3 dots. If you go to publish, you get the same preview, and you can set the thumbnail to current frame. So you go to whichever one you want to be the thumbnail in your preview. You hit this, and this is what your thumbnail is going to be. Loop is just whether when the animation is playing, whether it loops automatically or just ends when it ends. Allow remixes is enabling other users to create spin-offs. So there's like a remix feature where you upload something. If you allow remixes and someone creates a remix, they get a copy of the animation file, and then they're able to edit it, change it, do whatever they want to it, and then post it. And then when they post it, it will notify you, and it will credit your animation as like the parent sort of animation that it got remixed from. And then you can kind of like follow this chain down and see other remixes and stuff. It's very cool. Then here you have a title and a description, and then you just hit publish. And then when you publish something, it will end up out here on the Discover feed. It will be on your profile, and then it will just kind of look like this. So you'll have the video out here, title, there's no description, people can comment on it, and that's essentially the Anishare experience. One extra thing I want to add too is in the menu, there's a help button where if you click on it, it will give you some of this information. This page has a list of all the keyboard shortcuts, which is very, very useful if you're on the computer and you want to be moving different, you want to be moving efficiently and get very comfortable. Your undo, redo, edit history only remembers the last 10 of your actions, which include brush strokes, eraser strokes, cutting or deleting a selected area, pasting, using the paint bucket, and deleting a frame. Also note, animations are limited to 360 frames in length. So at the default rate of 12 frames per second, you have 30 seconds to work with, and that changes depending on how you change your frame rate. I hope you guys learned a lot. I hope you had fun. I hope you learned some new tech on how to create really cool and fun things with your friends on Anishare. And I really look forward to seeing what you guys make. So have a good day and keep creating and having fun.